What was the technology of the day?
Okay. Around early 90s, we had already started seeing the rudiments of what you have today.
Okay.
In that large companies like banks were buying computers, but for themselves and their staff. In other words, it was not individual computer like we do today. It was a central system that has connections to some things we call terminals, and that was the drive. We call it the enterprise era, the era where enterprises were acquiring technical resources to support their work. In my case, it was because GNPC had brought me back to Ghana around 88, 89 to help them establish their computer system. Okay, meaning Mr. Chikata had recruited me on a UNDP expatriate national program for me to come and help them establish an exploration facility so that they could process some of their data from exploration in Ghana, because by that time they used to send them all out to the US to be processed. And if you know Mr. Chikata, his intention was, why can't we do it here? Let's get the right resources and start doing it.
So as far back as 88,
yes,
they had wanted you to set up this
Correct.
for GNPC.
Correct.
For the exploration activities.
For the exploration activity. And that is what I was doing till 92 when I moved to my own company, and then I began to explore this part.
So beyond the data for exploration,
yes,
what was your company set up to do?
Okay, my company was a distributor for Digital Equipment Corporation, which is where I had worked after I finished my PhD in 77. I went to work at Digital Equipment Corporation. They were the main competitor for IBM, and they were making mini computers. Instead of the large machines, they were the leader in the mini computer era. And there I was you might say, the one responsible for research in functionality, meaning architecture-related things, as well as performance and availability, reliability-related things.
So these equipment that DEC were producing, were people buying them in Ghana?
Yes. In fact, Mr. GNPC had bought one.
Okay.
And that was the justification for recruiting somebody directly from the company
to come and help set it up.
Help set it up. That's precisely that.
But beyond GNPC, were there other companies that use such things?
Oh, yeah. VRA was another one. I mean,
so companies that required a lot of data.
Yes.
That needed to interpret the data and process it to make decisions.
Yes. Were the ones.
So I can imagine banks would also need some.
Yes, banks also did. And subsequently we supplied equipment to the banks as well.
At what point did the internet come to Ghana?
Okay. Prior to the internet, there were some other, you might say, environmental things. Notice that around 88 is when PC started coming.
Yes.
We had also gone through a period in which we were producing a lot of graduates for government through the effort of KNUST. And at the same time, we had also done a lot of literacy in general for awareness. Okay. And then this very government that had this can-do attitude also was very keen on making sure we didn't miss this boat, meaning that they knew this was very important. Computing was extremely important for them. And then they wanted us to make sure that we're on board. And so from my role at GNPC, you can naturally see how it made a lot of sense for me to be helping ECG, for me to be helping VRA, and so on and so forth. In the process, prepared the country to adopt the internet.
So this will still be the early 90s?
Early 90s, early 90s.
When was the internet born globally? Do you know?
Oh, 90.
1990?
1990. Now,
is that what led... Okay, go ahead.
Prior to that, the internet was there, but it was there as a special project of sorts called the APA project.
The CAPA project?
The APA.
The APA project.
The Advanced Research Project Agency. Okay. They had, a program. But around 90, it moved into the commercial world. Okay. And so we were playing catch up. And part of the context also was interesting that you might appreciate. There were some media houses here around 93 that would carry their material by snail mail and put them on the internet. Of course, if we didn't have internet, we will not see. If we didn't have internet, we cannot reply. So you can imagine that there will be a policy interest in making sure that we have the internet so that at least we can reply. As you need to have yourself also expressed out there, but if only one side is on the internet and you are not there, then it makes it very difficult. So as a result of that, there was generally a climate of, if we can do, let's do it.
But it was in 95 that we officially christened the internet in Ghana.
Yes, and the reason for it, we have something that we call full connectivity, meaning that the line joining the internet is on all the time.
Okay.
Now, in 93, we had a connection through our experiments. By December 93, we had a connection to the internet. We were connecting to UK, a place called Pipex. We had a connection. But see how we manage. We were only opening that international line every 4 hours. Because if you make a call and you stay on 24 hours, maybe it would be too much. And so as experimental activity, we'll open it up 4 hours. And during the 4 hours, we'll do all the things we have to do, like setup and so on. So that was the initial phase. We just wanted to show that whatever infrastructure we have here that many people did not respect, we respected it. We knew it was capable of carrying the traffic. So we began to demonstrate that. And that was the first phase. That was in 93. Then in 94, we changed this up-down international to a lease line, but very slow rate, 9.6.
I see.
You don't think 9.6 is fast, but 9.6 kilobits per second was very fast.
9.6 kilobits per second.
Per second. Today you talk in megs. It was kilo. And that is what we use to move from the dial-up international to lease line international. But you can see it's too small, really. It could only carry mail. Of course, that was fine because mail was the main
thing that was being communicated.
Yes. And even news groups and all these things were behaving like mail. So that was the second step. And then in 95, we put up a dish. We had managed to convince, PNT and the ministry to give us a bypass so that we can have a separate dish through which we pass the traffic. Now, even the least...
A satellite dish?
A satellite dish, 3.8 meter. At that time, we had all those technologies and we were doing all that. Now, but even the lease line I mentioned, we were paying $7,500 a month for that lease line.
Even then?
Even then. For the Ghana half, and then for where we are landing, because they usually talk about half circuits. For where we are landing, which is in UK, they charge us £5,000 plus VAT. But we don't live there. I mean, you see the irony of the thing. But we were bold enough.
It was very expensive.
Yes, very expensive. But we were determined.
So you were working through the post and telecommunications company called PNT?
PNT.
In 95?
In 95.
Were they happy with what? Did they understand what you were doing?
Oh, it takes some education, and it takes some muscling, and it takes some policy authority.
So what was your role in government? Were you a government official then?
No.
You were a private sector person?
I was a private sector person. My government official role was ended in 92. I was then a UNDP consultant to GNPC, and I set up their things.
So you were not pushing the internet as a government person?
No.
This was private sector?
Private sector, but I was a big, you might say, supplier of computing
for the government.
For the government.
Who was the Minister of Communication at the time? Do you remember?
Yes, it was Mr. Kwame Pepra.
Kwame Pepra, your former mate from Machimota.
Yes, and he understood it immediately because his reaction was, "Oh, where do you buy your services from?" I said, "I buy from PNT." So then, what's the problem? Because then he described that as value-added service.
Wow. This is the point of view. We're trying to understand the history of the internet. Now you are watching me online on YouTube and you are thinking it's normal. There are people who had to essentially fight for this to come to Ghana 30 years ago. Professor Narku Quaynor is one of those pioneers. And this month they are looking at the Africa Internet Summit and also looking at 30 years of internet in Ghana. When we come back, we'll talk a bit more about the early days and how it's evolved. Stay with us. you.